Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's day. What is this? This is not day. Slow down. This is the Broiler Chicken Show. This is the weekend. It's Sunday.
Hello,
I get to go hang out with
everyone.
my
Welcome
son.
back
to the
RationalInvestor.com's
YouTube. Always good to see that that's working. Nobody's on YouTube, but what the hell? It's working. I guess I'll try and keep that open. It's weird I have so many screens here. I still need more screens. So I'll try and keep that open. Hello. Somebody's on the YouTube page. Hey, who is that? B2. Hello, B2. Spencer! Hey, dude. Yeah, that's cool to see. Hey, Spencer. Great to see you, bud. Mazadland. Oh, Jesus. I bet you got all of your... Spencer's the guy who's going to have like all the chicks dripping off him. Anyway, good to see you, bud. Not surprising, life is treating you pretty good. I sure hope it is. Anyway. But if you happen to get up to the wet coast, would love to see you again. And I wonder how the bull is doing. I haven't heard too much about the bull lately. Hope he's hanging in there. He hasn't lost faith in crypto. Excellent. Good to hear, Spencer. Good to hear. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm chatting with some people on YouTube here to begin today's broadcast. Got a whole bunch of people in the lounge. I should probably say hi to you guys. Hey, Dan. Great to see you. Random Task. Oh, that's Colin. Colin, I don't know if and when Colin's going to be back on the site, but he pops on and does little special presentations for us at TRI every once in a while. It's great to have Colin a part of the group. Marat and I and Grim were all hanging out together, hanging with the level 1ers there earlier this morning, just about 20 minutes ago, I suppose. I think, actually this is kind of cool because we're trying to transition the program and, of course, trying to get Brian to let go. Good luck. Level 1 program, we have an awesome instructor, and I even joked with the students, I think he's probably a better instructor than I am. Grim, just an absolutely fantastic mentor. I mean, really, I couldn't think of a better person. Just follow along what the Wookiee does. Just try to emulate his behavior. It's poetry in motion. So, the three of us were all sort of chatting away in the level 1 class. All the students getting hit like 3 or 4 different directions from us answering questions. So I thought that was really cool. And the half of the purpose for this Broiler Chicken Show is if you are in the level 1 program and you still have some more questions, still lingering, just try to take advantage of this time. Exactly what Wookiee said is, the principles that we teach are universal. Location, indicator confirmation, structure, go. I mean, and I've said this on the free videos. I mean, the secret isn't really that much of a secret. It's actually pretty obvious. I don't know whether enough people in the marketplace can articulate their secret very well. And in a weird sort of way, I think, Pat Bryan, myself on the back, I do think I articulate the secret well. So, but, let's just make sure that, everybody knows the secret. Don't chase. Try and buy against the bottom ends of ranges. W's are our friends. It's pretty straightforward stuff. And, just the point that I guess I'm trying to make out of all of this, it was a lot of fun just hanging out with the level 1ers and really trying to emulate this idea that what you're really here to learn, level 1ers, is this thing called the process. I mean, there's so many fun tools that we get to play with. We can't possibly teach you in 12 weeks every single tool. And indeed, even with 3 full programs, I can still think of at least a half a dozen modules I'd still like to do. There could easily be a level 4 at any given point in time here. I just got to get some time. But anyway, that's here nor there. The point being that really at a level 1, guys, what I really need you to learn, especially you that the level 1ers just did the module on fibs. Fibs are beautiful trade location tools. Excellent sort of place for people to start, and you probably, if you watched over the years, crazy reload zone concept, if you can just get that simple message into your head, I'm not allowed to buy unless it's at or below a reload zone if I'm thinking about investing in some sort of idea, man, you keep yourself out of a lot of trouble just with that very, very simple concept. So that's really what we really wanted to drive home with regard to retracements. And Bitcoin's perfect example. What's interesting is I think actually, and I think it's in the library, but I can't remember where it is, and I know I'm short on time here. Because, Brian, he sure loves to talk a hell of a lot. But I was just sharing. In fact, actually, you know what? I won't even do that. Just in the level 1 room this morning, and everybody should just bookmark it. But for you level 1ers, I did a couple free tutorials for the, and I don't know whether I included them in the course material or not. I can't remember. But I did a couple fib, and they're just quick, 10, 15-minute videos. What should I do here? I don't know. I'll just go copy. I'm going to put them in the comments of the free I don't know whether I should type that up or not. Which one was that? That was the retracement. Fib retracement. Tut. I'm just going to put this in the comments here on this free video. They're just quick 10-minute videos. I was posting them in the classroom here this morning that I did a while ago with Coinigy. Sure would like to know how Coinigy boys are going. We probably should do one of those altcoin shows again one of these days. But there is the fib retracement and then the fib extension tut. And these were just free extension. I don't know how. I'm a terrible speller. All right. So tut. So one on retracements, one on extensions. And I like to call them like little pocket tuts. They're like 10 minutes long. Obviously students, we do a much more detailed look. Hey, there's Grim. Hey, buddy. Over there on YouTube. I posted those in the lounge, all level 1 in the group 1 tutorial, all level 1ers, of course, you should have those. Throw those in your, your folders, your sort of school folder. They're handy, just little reference guides, and I just gave them to the whole YouTube universe. Talk about positive karma, eh? I sure hope I'm getting some positive karma. Why can't see the Coinigy, you think? Hey, Brian, why can't see the coinage? Coinage, you think? I'm not quite sure I understand the question, sir. Gabalden? Anyway, just post those in there. Sorry I'm wasting everybody's time, but, I definitely think they're extremely valuable. And I'll even put them in the lounge just so everybody on the site has them. I think they're in the library somewhere. I can't remember just off the top of my head where I put them, so I just happen to have the YouTube link, so I'll just throw those in there. So anyway, point of the matter here, level 1ers working on retracements and extensions. And fantastic tool, retracements, reload zones. Guys, especially like level 1ers, just get really good at this. And just like Grim said in class, practice, 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 practice. You got to do a bazillion of these charts to get good at this. I see reload zones in my sleep because I've done 10,527 of them in the past year. So, the more practice you get, the better you get at this. And the more intuitive you'll get at this. Also, a message to level 1ers too, kind of comments of today's class. Let's not be too concerned about things like harmonic patterns just yet. First you crawl, then you walk, then you run. Really want you to understand reload zones, importance of 61.8, mountain man, line in the sand, 78.6, extremes, especially in things like venture capital, 88.6 as a reference level. And then, if you do see a market running, and actually Bitcoin was exactly like this through the weekend, I like to put on little AB equals CDs. Really for you in the level 1 program right now, I want you to see these AB equals CDs as sort of the end of the move. And big surprise, Bitcoin's going sideways here at these levels. So that's really what I want you guys to take away from the introduction of extensions right now, and of course the bot setup that we teach you on the site. It actually has you taking profits at that level. Okay, so I won't go too much. In fact, actually, before I get going too further, just want to make sure. Yep, that's a good point, especially here in Canada, eh, Colin? How do you report your capital gains? Let's call spade spade. Maybe you have capital losses in crypto, but how do you report your capital gains here for Canadian tax purposes? That's that. And hey, if you want to quarterback that kind of thing for Canadians on the site, I think that's an excellent idea. I fully endorse that. The irony of it all is that what often happens on the site is people ask a question and I'll turn it around and it says, well, it sounds to me like we just had a volunteer. So that's careful being too talkative around here. You might just volunteer for jobs. Anyway. Okay, so crazy kind of week, and as I said just a moment ago, yeah, I know I'm boring you as hell, Mr. Gabaldson, and by all means, this is totally ad lib. This is not really that professional. It's just Brian speaking. Sometimes I might go off for 5-10 minutes on some sort of crazy rant. My apologies. And last week it was hilarious watching all the upvotes and downvotes on these videos. And me barking when people would downvote me and stuff. So, if anything, Mr. Gabaldson, consider this amusement. Consider it entertainment. And watch how the monkey jumps up and down and through hoops. So, it is what it is. If you can get some sort of value out of all the crazy stuff that I say, which, I've been playing this game a while. I think on balance, I generally have something to contribute to the conversation. Then great. It's a win, right? I mean, how much does this cost you? Hey, look, there's a downvote. Woohoo! And I know, I'm not even going to, don't even show me those goddamn downvotes. You guys kill me. Hit the like, listening while at lead in asbestos class. Oh, wow. Okay. So, considered entertainment. The cool part about it is I literally show you all my trading. So make fun of my losers. Hopefully what you see on balance over time is that my average winner is bigger than my average loser. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Oh, you're a sweetheart. Did you give me an upvote? 3 downvotes. Jesus, you guys are really messing with me. Oh, well. Anyway, so what kind of week or two is it in crypto? As you can see, I'm having a lot of fun putting out fun tweets. I don't even know where we should start. I think I tweet out these video. There it is, I guess, from last week. So, was talking in the, I think the general message here, edutainment. There you go, Runman. I like that. Edutainment. And feel free to downvote. The general message I'm feeling right here, and keep in mind it is February, right? I remember back, and I could have sworn it was 2016, but it might have been 2017. But I remember my show producer and I sitting in the lounge in the middle of February. And I just fell in love with this girl online. Oh, that was pretty stupid. And of course, she broke my heart. What are you, crazy? I'm not gonna fall for a clown like you. And this was, of course, right around Valentine's Day, right? Great timing. But anyway, I remember sitting in the lounge, sort of crying in my beer, and it's terrible rainy weather here in Vancouver. And it's the middle of February, and another site member who's an OG on the site, and he helps me produce the daily briefs now. Literally, a right-hand man, just fantastic person. But he and I were just sitting in the lounge, just going, hey, you see this chart? You see, I remember that was like when Decred was like nothing, before Decred even took off. Actually, you know what? No, I remember Decred was the very first coin that took off in 2017. I remember that. And everybody was like, whoa, what's going on there? What's going on there? Oh, that's kind of weird. And we were sitting in the lounge just hunting names. And really, I mean, that was the time to load up on the altcoins, just heading into that crazy, insano blow off top, eh? But, and not that many people were really interested in the market, and it was kind of just sort of, kind of hum-ha, not really that interested. And it was the base. But the point I'm trying to make here was that Kevin and I were hunting buys, reload zones. And actually, one of the setups that we have in the library, which I really love, it's just like a trader's trade, is the shark setup. And the shark setup, in essence, I think the example we have here is, this happens to be Blitz. And look at all this. I'm not quite sure why the charts look like this. But, it's this kind of environment. And actually, look at this. This is February, right? So February, March. Perfect example. So this is the kind of environment that I think we're in right now. Is, we just had big pops in a lot of these names. And now this is where sharks come along, and they just cherry pick names that come down into levels. And you just get some absolutely ridiculous fills in this kind of market. So that's exactly what type of market state I think we're in right now. To all intents and purposes, I do honestly believe the Bitcoin bear is over. That's probably a pretty bold statement to... did I say Bitcoin? I mean cryptocurrency. I think Bitcoin bear is over as well. But I think that's a pretty bold statement to make. But since that what was it? It's Shane's Saturn Pluto cross there in January. The whole tone of the market, I think, has changed. I think the market was waiting for Mr. Vitalik and that whole team to sort of take us to the next generation in this space. And I think you can kind of see it in these kind of indexes that. We're going to go through back and forth, and if you chase and you FOMO, you're probably going to get your ass kicked. But on balance, blow off tops, it was like the dot-com boom. I mean, technically, 2002, 2003, 2004, you could have gone in and sort of cherry-picked all the high-flying tech stocks from the dot-com boom that survived. Things like Amazon and Microsoft and Intel, all the big blue chippers. And of course, hindsight's 2020, only one economic cycle away. Amazon, I saw, was like $2,000 a share. That's 100x in one business cycle. Ironically enough, I could actually see crypto do even bigger numbers than that. Maybe even the next 5 years they do 100x. So that's kind of the environment that I think we're in right now. I mean, like I said, don't chase, because you're just gonna hand the market money. But kind of like what I just showed you there a moment ago, this kind of environment where you can like work stink bids against bottom ends of ranges, and these markets have just been completely washed out. I think it's a really interesting time to be in crypto right now. Very much like I'm feeling like now is like 2016, maybe early 2017, before all the nutso-ness. And the weird thing is I remember back in 2017, in March of 2017, the SEC rejected Bitcoin and like topped it like $1,000, and everybody's like, "That's it, it's over." And we went back down and played down in those hundreds for a while. I think I can't remember exactly, but so I do like the idea that, in a weird sort of way, actually, I wouldn't even be surprised. Here's an outlandish statement. Check this out. I wouldn't be surprised if the powers that be actually use something like coronavirus or something along those lines to actually make paper money actually illegal. They might actually even turn around. I could see some like 1%er kind of thing actually turn this story around and say, well, the virus is being spread by paper currency. I mean, we talk about how does acceptance happen? How does mass adoption work? How do you get the like billions of these silly little human insects running around and all just sort of accepting en masse? Boom, right? The easiest way is always to appeal to fear. Always the easiest way to get humans to move in mass is to appeal to fear. So in a weird sort of way, that may actually be what's going on right now. Who knows? I mean, it's a crazy, outlandish theory, but it's definitely possible. All I'm going to say is, whether it's Saturn-Pluto cross or whether it's, central banks, the sad thing is it's also a consolidation of power. And I've tried to convey this message to the public before, and, hopefully you level oneers, you understand this just doing your FIBS module. Institutions don't buy up markets. So there's really no way that the institutions could come in here when Bitcoin was 20 G's and say, all right, this is mass adoption, this is the way it is, and we're going full bore into the market through this. They can't do that. But at the same time, too, the irony of it all is institutions buy down markets. And then, if we can apply the concept of things like reload zones, we actually look at where this silly thing W'd. And, this is a good example for the level oneers. One of the persons asked, could the W come in below the reload zone? Well, in this case, you can actually see that we went below the reload zone. And here's a really good working example where we just simply, the recapture of this very important battle line was the sign that, yep, we're still a bull. So the point here is, if institutions can't buy up markets, what kind of markets can they buy? And more importantly, this is what we have to learn. When should we expect them to be buying? And how do they get the public to act to get them to sell if they only buy down markets? Like, it's a tough concept to get, and it's the whole sort of principle behind why I like to buy the bottom ends of ranges. I try to force myself to buy into down markets because I know that on balance, I'm basically doing what the institutions are doing. Although 9 times out of 10, if you listen to them publicly, they're saying, oh, no, it's all going to rat shit. You should sell. You should sell. Oh, get Bob over there to get a buy, but let's do it very quietly. That kind of stuff. It's really sad, but it's true. Yeah, you're right, V, actually. And actually, a really, really good lesson that you guys all really need to learn. And it kind of angers me that I don't hear CNBC talking about it at all when they talk about cryptocurrency. because it's so irresponsible. But if you ever want to analyze a commodity and you're kind of like, I want to try and get in on something that's cheap, that's value. The key is, and especially with something like a proof of work cryptocurrency, is what does it cost to actually keep the network going? So I find it incredibly coincidental that, I happen to have Litecoin on the screen here, but we heard that the average cost of production for a Litecoin is about $65. And gee whiz, this is a reload zone of this particular range. What a coincidence. And really what I need for all of you guys to see, this event here, this is people. We know that the cost of production, I saw at one company, the cost of production for Litecoin was like $100 a coin. I'm like, why are you mining Litecoin at $100 a coin when it's like half of the price? That's how you go out of business. Turn the machines off. Oh well. Point here is, this here represents a steal. This here represents value. This here represents, remember, institutions buy down markets. Who do you think was buying up all of these coins that people were dumping? Probably some smart money guy. What do we call them? Let's see if we can get some feedback here on the YouTube channel. If the public's buying this market, what do we call the guys who are coming in and stepping in and defending this down here and buying this part of the market? Because I know you guys, this is crypto, right? So we better call them appropriately. Thank you, Mr. Gabaldson. So, you could get rid of the word institution. You can substitute the word whale. That's fine. Oh, great. I tell you one thing. It was a scary fucking day for me. I'll tell you. I was sitting there trading away crude oil on the goddamn CME. And the firm that I'm working with, they've got their squawk radio going on the floor of the exchange, and some clown, some trader on the floor goes by Eddie and it goes, "Hey, what's that Beamish guy doing? Is he long or short?" And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? I don't want to know that CME guys are listening to me. I hope you're still a small person. I like to consider myself a small fish in a big pond. And if anything, I kind of like this site, and I like this YouTube video feed, like totally free, totally, you're sweet, Mr. Gabaldson. If anything, I almost prefer, like, you want to know how to win at this game? You got to take the seriousness out of this. Now, of course, we're professionals, so you have to behave professionally, but people take this profession way too seriously. You actually have to build a plan that gives you permission to be wrong. And then you just have to follow the plan and have faith and confidence in yourself that the work that you've done creating the plan and vetting setups is valid, and you just have to, in a weird sort of way, you have to let go. And what's really cool, like the coolest I've seen, and the people who make really big money at this are especially in altcoin space, but are the people that look at this as a hobby, and they're playing a game, almost like a video game, right? And they're trying to win at the video game. If you follow best practices, and the one good thing about actually trading like altcoins versus Bitcoin and stuff is you take the sort of dollar thing away from it, and you're like I think the popular term is stacking sats, right? I don't even want to know what they are. I'm just stacking sats, right? And that's how that last cycle I started with like 1.25 BTC. And by time at the top of the cycle, the whole damn thing was worth about 30 or 40 Bitcoins. They're just stacking sats. So if you can do that, it sure makes this game a hell of a lot easier. I'll tell you that much, by crackers. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is, if you can force yourself, the point I wanted to make originally about this is nobody talks about sort of the fundamental value of these cryptocurrencies. I don't think enough people talk about it, and I never hear, I hear CNBC loves to tout the Tom Lee sort of expanding marketplace. But then, price gets way ahead of itself, and then they're all just sort of left scratching their heads. Well, what are actually one of these things actually worth? And it would be really nice if CNBC actually did more work in that vein. So, point I'm trying to make here was Litecoin was substantially below cost of production, and boom, quickly it's jumped back up above there. So anybody who was able to take advantage of Litecoin's discount here, this was, to me, almost like a no-brainer. I was a little disappointed I couldn't do this options trade on Deribit. They only have Bitcoin and Ethereum, but Ethereum trade was really good too. The only issue I have with Ethereum is, of course, they are making the transition to from POW to POS, so there's a big question mark hanging over this coin, in my opinion. I do find it fascinating looking at this, seeing this fun little tool that we sort of stumbled upon, this chaos level, happened to correspond perfectly with the good old Mountain Man level tag there. Brandon Rigo, one of the best crude traders I ever worked with, who just basically, it was his level. If it was hit, boom, he was in a trade. And then watching how prices behaved here over the past couple of weeks, because I think this is a really interesting conversation about how markets behave at levels. I think as price comes into levels, then you want to start looking at things like indicators. And hopefully you guys remember, I've been sort of talking recently that I didn't have any signs of sort of indicator divergence here. So that in a way is sort of a little bit of a tell that, I don't know whether this thing's actually done. I like to use this fib tool on level oneers. This is a great application of this concept where you're not really hunting a trade location. All you're doing is you're just simply asking, okay, well, if this is a bull and things obviously have gone a bit parabolic here, where should price at least come back to just to be healthy and just to be normal, and sort of calm down a little bit, So we hit a chaos level, we hit a Mountain Man level, and this is sort of why I don't like taking new trades here. I don't know how this is going to resolve. I really don't. It might M out, and that's the end of that. Or it might W out, and looks like the Wers are kind of carrying today. And this might just be nothing more than a midpoint consolidation of an even bigger move. So I definitely think this was an important level, no doubt about it. But levels are levels are levels. And this is sort of why, level oneers, no pun intended, I really want you to really, for now, when if you can get on to like level 3 and sort of super advanced trading, we can talk about harmonic patterns and just hitting levels. I'm a little concerned that that's maybe a little high octane for new people to trading just yet. I would really like for you just to get the basics, the foundation, location, indicator confirmation, and we just did location tools. So we're going to be moving on to studying volume and volume patterns, and we're going to be studying price momentum indicators, raw momentum like MACD, and overbought, oversold oscillators like Williams percentage R. So that will come for you guys. Really, as this illustrates, I can't stress how important it is for you just to simply, at this point in your education, just respect what's going on here. Clearly down here, institutional players are not going to be heavy on the short side. We're below green boxes. What the fuck? Why are you shorting down at the bottom end of range? You're going to get your ass kicked. Sorry. Especially against previous W's. That's dangerous. So new W's come in, and hey, we're below reload zones. What the hell, man? This looks sexy as hell. And sure enough, I mean, you tell me, proof of the pudding's in the eating. That was a pretty damn good trade. Coming in on the buy side, once we start hitting red boxes, maybe just cool your jets. And that's basically what this is. Now, you are going to learn in the level 1 program, and this might be an example where this might just simply turn into a massive trend continuation setup. So, if I was long off the bottom, this is leverage products I was trading, right? I should be taking profits into these levels, at least partially. Move stops on remaining of positions, whatever you want to do. You want to do 3 high-low method. You want to use moving average closes. You want to use ATR. You want to use Seward's using linear regression channels right now. I mean, there's a million different ways to trail stops. Point here is you shouldn't lose money if you bought down here. You should be a pretty happy camper. But what do you do if you're like, well, Brian, I'm still a bull, and I see this bigger AB equals CD that's taking us up here, so how the heck am I going to get into this thing? What I would be thinking right now, for whatever it's worth, and remember, it's just my opinion here, people. There's absolutely no guarantees in anything that I say. You all know that. And like we said at the beginning of the episode here, this is edutainment. But anyway, if I was trying to sneak my way in, I would first ask, okay, is there some sort of trend continuation pattern? I like to use the AB equals CD. Which means that I'm looking for at least 33 to 66% pullback off of the highs. You can see that doesn't qualify off of the entire range, so I don't think it's that big. What I would probably do is maybe say, okay, well, how about maybe something like that? Okay, well, that's workable. So what I'm kind of postulating with this kind of thinking is, it's pretty steep. It's very aggressive, don't get me wrong. But if I wanted trend continuation my trade, I'm kind of thinking AB. And now, off of these lows, CD. So, something along those lines. So, I'm going to take my little bot setup tool. I'm going to clone that. And then I'm going to throw it on top of this low. Like that. And I'm going to throw on my bot trade levels. And interesting, you can see how this level here now is setting up. So, interesting, when I was a crude trader, a lot of times I'd get these kind of setups and it would be kind of a fun situation because it seemed to happen like day in, day out. But there could very easily be a scenario, and I don't know whether maybe that's a higher high. What is that? And keep in mind, this is Finnick, so I'm just using this as an example. Your one might be different. 287 was the high there. 287.32. Okay, so that is the high. So a lot of times it would be a situation where maybe we'll go down to like a 4-hour chart or something, or maybe like 2 hours or something. All right, so you can see the setup setting itself up here. And Mountain, he'd be short from there. And Brian, he would be long from there. And you can see, I mean, everybody should look at this video and go, no. Brian, he's going to be long from there. And you don't know what the hell is gonna happen, right? It's a trader's life. It's just it is what it is. Range traders are gonna hit the top end of the range, and you can even see he's like, oh, okay, now I'm okay, all right. So, and then of course there's Brian. He's on the long side, and we'd literally be sitting in the pit. Basically, I'm long, I'm short. Who's gonna win? And you just don't know. So, I could very easily see some people taking long shots on Ethereum, and just this setup right here is suggesting 369.40, and everybody on YouTube goes woo. But at the same time, too, remember, Mr. Mountain Man, he has not been busted out yet. So you can only kiss Mr. Mountain Man goodbye if we go and break these highs up top here. So anyway, so if you want an Ethereum level, there you go. Merry Christmas. Is it a clean setup? It's not bad. I mean, as you can see, and actually we were, actually in the level oneers, right? We were talking, Murat, are you on the call here? What were we talking about? We were talking about stops, and I go 3 high-low method for the win. What was that in reference to? Somebody asked a question. Anyway, we were just chatting away in the level 1 class back and forth. I hope we didn't confuse them, but anyway. Do you remember what I'm talking about, Murat? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is, the bot setup. I'm chicken shit by nature. Remember that, guys, right? By definition, I'm chicken shit. So I actually, if you think, and this is a really good dovetail with the level oneers, what they did today, trying to learn this concept of the institution's fingerprint. Remember I showed you on Bitcoin how the market dumped down below that 78.6. Well, you can also see institutional fingerprint, which, I think I showed you that chart, but did I get rid of it? That was this one, right? You only really see the institutional fingerprints after the fact. So don't be looking for them in real time, and as the market's dumping to new lows, you're like, okay, is this the institutional fingerprint? You won't see it in real time. You'll only see their fingerprints after the fact. So, the way that I would just simply look at this is, after the fact, we can clearly see that somebody came in and said, no more down, you go up right off of that level. The bar that made the low plus the preceding bar. Basically, somebody absorbed all the selling. The public, I remember the public, there were lots of people that were like saying, Bitcoin's going to $1,000. Remember that hyperwave guy? Thank you, Team Sam eBay. Appreciate it. Remember that hyperwave guy? Total Bitcoin's got to go to $1,000. It can't reset until it does go to $1,000. So there were lots of people that were super bearish. But who do you think was buying all of those coins that Mr. Hyperwave was trying to get all the public to sell? And I don't know whether he was or not. Sadly, he's passed away now, so God rest your soul, sir. But, do we have any level oneers in the actual call here? No, you guys are all old timers. How about over on YouTube? Tyler Jenks, yeah. I mean, I appreciate it, but if anything, that's a great lesson, everybody, that you're never going to be right 100% of the time. And please don't ever get into the business of making market forecasts. It's not worth it. You might be right like 70-80% of the time, which would be really, really good. But that 20% of the time that you're wrong, the public will just destroy you. And people get sued over this stuff. That's why I always say on these shows, right? This is what I'm doing with my money. What you do with your money, that's your business. You want to learn how I sort of model my business, how to set yourself up for success? Okay, well, you can come to TRI, and I'll teach you the basic concepts. But I'm not recommending, and I'm certainly not making any predictions here, because it's a mugs game. That's a waste of everybody's time, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, if you have a setup and the setup's projecting levels, you can always say, okay, well, I'm long from here, my stop's here, and my setup says to take profits here, so this is basically where I'm expecting the market to go. That's great, but that's about as far as any kind of market predictions anybody should really make. Yeah, and then there's the people asking for when moon. Anyway, so institutional fingerprint, right? Where the institutions put the bottom in the market. Super powerful concept. And of course, if you align it with that concept of reload zone, it makes perfect sense. The smart money buys down markets. The institutions buy down markets. The public is most pessimistic, especially after this failure of about $6,000 or so, I remember. After a long consolidation, a lot of people sort of believed that this was the floor, and then they just kicked the shit out of them, knocked it down another 50% here, and the wind was just completely taken out of the market sales. So you can also use this concept. So, look left, look back. Where is the bottom? We can see exactly where the institutions are long. So that's really the bottom line with institutional fingerprints. You look back over time and you say, yep, well, that's exactly where they're long. And then, really you could argue the same thing just this past winter. How did you guys notice? What was the sentiment in crypto back in November, December? It wasn't really that great. We started to turn up late December and early January there. That was awesome. But I remember the end of the year, man, they were just giving these altcoins away. So, point of the matter here is you can see another institutional fingerprint. And, look left. These are going to be reference points for us going forward. We could also make the argument that these are institutional fingerprints on the upside. Public buys up market, so it clearly wasn't the public that sold here. Who sold here? And then, of course, gee whiz, look who's just staring us in the face. Well, actually, he's already staring us in the face. Right? Ha ha ha, look at me. Woo-hoo-hoo, you remember me. So, institutional players were the ones that stopped this bull. Right? So you can do it over and over and over. I don't know where I was going with all that. But it sure was a fun rant, wasn't it? There was something profound I was talking to you about, but I've completely lost my train of thought. Oh, well. Yeah, no, wasn't it on Litecoin or something? Or this Ethereum, that's what it was, yeah. All right, so back to our story. Once upon a time, land far, far away. So this is looking at it on a much lower time frame. You can make the exact same argument, for lower time frame players. Where did whoever's driving the bus in this particular market, where did they stop the bull? Well, that's up in that area. And where did they stop the bear? You can see they had to do a lot of absorbing of selling in here. Huge level in there. So at the moment, looking at an asset like this, I would kind of say that this thing is range bound. But, if you are a trend follower, you just got to take the setup. So I guess what I was trying to point out with this and what I was talking about in the level 1 this morning, I like to have a lot of lows. So I started this conversation off by saying I was chicken shit, right? Isn't that how I started the conversation off? So if you understand this idea of institutional fingerprint, and it is confirmed when we have market structure, you see this W, right, come in, you can look back and go, yeah, that's where they put the bottom in. I think you can say the same thing here. Somebody just absorbed all this selling, right? It's interesting how now what I really want to do here with my little bot setup is I like to have at least 3 recent lows. So to defend my trade, and in the more advanced program, we go into the specifics of how that sort of thinking works, the 3 high-low method. But in essence, what I'm really saying here is if I buy this, I want this whale that stopped this bear to defend me. Because if price comes back down here, this guy's going to be like, hey, what are you doing back down here? Get your butt back up there. I want this guy, whoever absorbed all this selling, I want him to defend me. And I want this guy who absorbed all this selling. Remember, somebody stopped the bear. That means, they were selling. That means somebody had to be buying. So now I've got this guy, and this guy, or 3 lows. If I put my stop down here, basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, look, I'm just going to let all these guys defend my trade. Those institutional fingerprints. So, if anything, that might be a good sort of help for level 1ers to try and understand that institutional fingerprint kind of concepts a little better, and how you can use this idea to... I'm not going to defend my trade because I've already, if I go and buy this level, I've shot my wad. So really the question is, can I go and shoot my wad? That's not exactly the best phrase to use, I guess. Can I spend my money at a place where I got a pretty good shot that other big boys don't really want to see the price go down below there? And I'm going to let them, because they probably have more money to spend. If price does come back down here, maybe they're going to come in and say, hey, no, I already threw $1 million at this. If I have to throw another $500,000 at this to make damn sure this trade works, then so be it. You know, that kind of thinking. Does that make sense? I don't know. Does anybody get any value out of that over on YouTube? What do you think, Team Sam eBay? Totally. Crypto M says, one person with a lot of money. What do we call one person with a lot of money in crypto? Scarcity. 4 words, leveraged crypto exchange operator. Whale gag. Yeah, that's right. Hey, yeah, you're over there on YouTube too. Hey, man, you're everywhere. All you guys, you play this from both angles. What's up? Not sure if there are any other channels. Uh-oh. What am I supposed to say here, Peter? Did I miss something? Yeah, I'm just reading the YouTube text chat here, and I noticed in the lounge nobody's really posting in there. So what do you guys say? Not sure if there are any other channels that give you that much value for free. Yeah, I don't know. You know, if any, you like that one, eh, Michael? Yeah, well, I would agree with you, Peter. I'm kind of crazy for doing this. And, I don't know. I guess I'm a bit lost right now. I need some sort of spiritual direction. What am I supposed to do next? So I just keep spitting out the good karma, and hopefully the good Lord will point me in a good direction. So what do you think, Peter? Is that a good deal? Can you ask the people on the other side to help me out a little bit? So, where should we go next? We talked a little bit about Ethereum. And, you know, there could be a continuation trade there. I did put out a tweet about Litecoin, and, you know, I don't want people to, and this is what I'm worried about, right, is I'll put out a tweet and then people will be like, oh shit, he's calling a top or he's calling a bottom. And then, you know, a month later and turns out it didn't play out that way. And they're all like, you're a loser, man. Why did I listen to you? You know, edutainment, right? Remember that was the whole point of these shows, right? Edutainment. I don't know if this is a top on Litecoin or not. I don't. As we had sort of talked about earlier, you know exactly where I was just gaga about this thing. Are we below that cost of production number now? No, we're actually above it now. So, you know, can I make the argument that this is a value trade? No. Actually, we did come up to an ABCD harmonic objective, and in a weird sort of way, you know, probably if we do our crazy little numbers chaos theory, my hunch is it's probably also one of those levels. Let's see. This will just freak me out. If this actually just hits right on the nose, that would be hilarious. Probably not, but let's see what happens. Boom. So 4.669 was right into this level. Interesting. And I don't know whether I have this too crisp or not. We better be crisp for the audience. This is an interesting one. I wonder how you interpret this, but nonetheless. So we'll go here to here, and there to there. Should probably put on that magnet thing. Alright, there to there. There to there. And I wonder if you have to do this one. Mind you, that one was busted out. That's a tough one. There's a few going on there, because I can see this one here. There to there. This is the original one, but I got busted out. Alright, so well, not really too much help. Interesting how those levels actually acted as support there the other day. So what I'm going to say on this was, especially this harmonic pattern, We had somebody that actually just recently joined the site, and they're like, okay, now that I've paid you my money, Brian, dance, damn you. Tell me where Litecoin's going. I think he even had like a couple 6-shooters, right? And he was like, dance, monkey. How's that for some edutainment, eh? Crazy Brian. You're such a weirdo. Anyway, I mean, the simple message that I would give, and this is basically what I told him, was that, once we get to these big AB equals CD harmonic objectives, I gotta sort of cool my jets. I gotta say, well, you know what? That was a big objective. Ironically enough, as we're sort of, level oneers, I know you guys really want to get into harmonics, but, this is kind of why I don't want you to get into harmonics just right away. It's very advanced. And actually it probably would help if I could spell the word correctly, Quite often at harmonic levels, you get this just insane chaotic behavior here. And if you just blindly shorted that, well, you better be damn advanced in your trading and know how to act appropriately, because I'm sure this sent you on one hell of a roller coaster emotionally. So I don't really want you guys thinking like, okay, A, B, C, D objective, this is where I hunt, I go short, because this can quite often happen. What I want you level oneers thinking is, we come into AB equals CD objectives. Okay, whatever this move was off of the low, it's probably exhausting itself. And at best, what we need to do is just cool our jets and let this thing settle down. Just like I showed you on the Ethereum, remember, I'm chicken shit. So if I go and buy this right here, how many lows do I actually have to work with? I've only got this guy right here, since this was a recent low there, I've only got him defending me. And frankly speaking, I don't even know what the hell this was. This looks crazy to me. What do we say about wicks and tails? Is there some sort of rule that we have about wicks and tails? Anybody ever heard me say anything about wicks and tails? Something. Sir. Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Eaton. There you go. Well done, Andre. Hey, there's my favorite lady. Right. So, I look at this chart. You could see these tails, right? We had to come down. 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 So, that doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. If I'm a bull, and this is sort of the tweet that I put out, is it's cool to be a bull. Being a bull's, isn't there a song about that? It's cool to be a bull. Do, 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 do. Something like that. Isn't that how it goes? Who knows Huey Lewis? I painted this chart maybe a couple days ago. I don't know how this resolves. I do like this idea of the market moving higher up into reload zones. There's Mountain Man again. Top of value. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. But, just with one recent low here, and this is a chart from a few days ago, so it doesn't even have that nutso insano tail. I gotta, for a guy like me, I gotta let this thing settle down a little bit. It could very easily go to new highs here, but I can't justify going in and taking a risk here. And that was sort of the message that I wanted to try and convey with this tweet. And I do know there's some people that are like, no, are you kidding? It's going straight up from here. Maybe it does. I don't know. But I gotta let this thing settle down. And we have an old rule on the site, and it's kept me out of a lot of trouble in life. In trading, and that is, I like to use the MACD histogram as a raw momentum indicator, and you can clearly see the raw momentum indicator. The price was making higher highs, but the raw momentum indicator was not. And then we actually fell through the floor here when price broke, and we went through the middle part of this big M here. I'm not saying this thing can't go up and trade to new highs. Could totally do any old damn thing it wants. All I'm saying is, and that's what this message was, is this is telling me, the market is trying to tell me, look, maybe price isn't nearly as strong as you think it is. And of course, if I want to see big rip roaring rally, especially like this right here, up, down, up, what I want to see is higher highs and higher lows on the histogram. So this is concerning for me. And, I'm just going to say it as it is. Brian. And I'm not here trying to sell Tide laundry detergent. I'm not even really here trying to, be your friend. I'm trying to make a positive difference. I'm trying to give you the straight goods. And I got to tell you that's not a good sign for the bulls, in my opinion. Now, maybe this thing just slowly W's out here and we clean up. Okay, cool. Kind of like what I showed you with that Ethereum. Ethereum doesn't have this price action. So remember, I put a tweet out recently about this, that I thought that of the three, Ethereum actually, in my opinion, represents the strongest of these, which is kind of funny. I guess it's not funny because it makes sense. Ethereum's got a big fundamental driver that's sort of front and center here right now. But we don't have any divergence, but there is that big ugly MACD divergence. All right, and this is actually, and I wanted to talk to you guys about this because I thought this was a really cool application of something I tried to teach you guys a little while ago. But here's a really great example of the sort of those three trends in RSI and how you can sort of use them. Think a teal line, yellow line, purple line, to sort of give you an idea of sort of age of the trend. And I get the impression that we had one very quick W that broke this M, so the bulls are sort of woken up here. Then we have another W, this yellow here. Bulls, that's their trade. It's not through the 50 line kind of trade, so it's not going to be an explosive move, but nonetheless, it is bullish. Then we get into more W's, which is sort of setting up purple, so you can see like teal, yellow, purple, and that fails. And usually purples fail. Then we go into teal, so we've got our first M. And then notice, oh, look at that. We put in a cute little W. We never did really get that second M. And, of course, where's the 50 line? 50 line's like way down here. We're nowhere near actually like a sell signal here on RSI. This is just nothing more than this is a very strong bull. And, it was just put on pause. And now the bull's being put on pause. Now, the bears have been put on pause as well. And so it's almost like we're just waiting for somebody to take over. Now, this thing can go either way. And, we look at the location. Actually, it really makes a lot of sense considering location. Everybody's on pause, just waiting. Who's going to blink first? And gee whiz, there's Mountain Man. He's short. There's Beamish. He's long. And everybody's just waiting. Okay, who's going to blink first? And that's sort of the way that I'm looking at the market right now. To me, I don't know whether I have enough of a case to actually make the bear case. I like to follow these moving averages, and you can see the fast moving averages acting as support here. So there really is no moving average resistance here. So I do still like the Ethereum story, and if there was one that was going to pop and actually set up a next trade higher here, I like the Ethereum. Notice, like I said, Litecoin just has this crazy ass V bottom, and the momentum picture here looks horrific. It looks to me, I'm not going to say horrific. That's not the right word. Again, that same sort of concept, teal, first W sort of break the bearish, in this case it was after a long one, so I have the purple on here. Yellows set up that second through the 50 line, big buy signal, and what's so cool is if you look at the price, it just exploded higher here. Then way up top here, getting into thirds or purples, and we had like a purple firing here, which was broken by a quick teal M, then a new W, etc., etc., etc. The point of the matter here is we come up, this purple is broken, new teal, there's a new M, broke, Now, the interesting thing is yellow, we want to see it break through 50 line. That second M, it did not. It broke at like 55 and it came down to the 50 line. You can see the low there is 49.18 and then quickly snapped back. So my hunch is, and I might make the argument this yellow trend is going to be broken if RSI can get back up above here. But the way that I look at this right now, of course, is if we do now roll over here through that 50 line, big problems. It's not here now. I'm not saying it's here now. Just watch for this. That will probably set up a big dump in something like Litecoin. And of course, gee whiz, look at where we are. We're sitting right at a level. So this is the kind of thing that if this thing's really a bull, we'll just go and blast it out through the high. I mean, what the hell's the difference? The high there is 84.44. And here we are at 78.96. Call it 79. $5. Pascal, there you are. Just go buy enough Litecoin to pop it through $5 higher. What's $5? So and this is kind of like that Bitcoin trade that I put on there a week or so ago, where price rallies up into a level and then just stops. And then all it takes is somebody to sneeze and boom, back down it goes. And like I said, the internals, I'm not overly impressed here. Also, too, something that I don't really like, but I tried to show you this recently, but couldn't find one. But maybe this will actually be a really good working example. But quite often you have these situations with MACD where you actually come up and the moving average and the, because keep in mind, there's a relationship between the moving averages, that MACD line, the two moving averages, 9 and 26. And in this case, I have 9 and 30. But and it's 9-period moving average. So sometimes, the MACD line itself will come up and just kiss the moving average, and that looks like just sort of an underside kiss of the zero line here. Usually I say these things like to move in like 4s, 8s, and 12s, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Turns out it was 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. So, I'm thinking, another up bar here, and then I'll start looking for some sort of sign of exhaustion here. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here. The problem with this, of course, is that this is just purely a momentum study. Could you have Litecoin price pop up and go to new highs, creating another divergence, what we like to call double Ds? And Brian, he loves his double Ds. Sure, that could happen, which sets up even juicier short. But I think the simple message here is, if you're a rip-roaring bull, this is not the picture you want to see. What you want to see if you're a rip-roaring bull is, and I don't know what this is going to look like, but it probably takes some time. You want to see a W, and then you want to see a breakout, and away we go. That's what the bulls need to see. So right now, we're still very early to be like saying, okay, let's get ready for the next move. And then, like I showed you there just a moment ago, if we look at price itself, I've only got one low to work with. And that's a tail. I mean, what I'm really worried about here, which happens, it's crypto, I suppose. But I could very easily see them go whoop, whoop, something like that. I could easily see that. The point here is these internals, for a guy like me, I just got to leave this alone. I just have to cool my jets, wait for this to clean up. And my hunch is, if this still is a bull, fine. Let's just be patient and disciplined. There's no hurry whatsoever. My hunch is it's probably going to do something like this and then set up really nicely a nice simple trade where I've got good risk reward. But that's just not right now for me. And it sucks, but it is what it is. All right, so I've talked lots about Litecoin and Ethereum. Let's just maybe finish off today with a quick boo at the corn. I watch the corn from a number of different perspectives. Obviously these big higher time frame weekly perspectives. Let's check in on the trend. Interesting to see if we finish relatively strong here. I remember last week I talked to you guys about this and I said, we could potentially empire out here where this boom, 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 3-bar pattern and, you're just going to have to look through all this. There is a candle in there. If it empires out, then that probably means that the moving averages are going to sort of kiss and continue down, but so far so good. We won't really know whether this is empired out. This would be like sort of one of those bull-bear battle line scenarios I used to tell you guys, where, you know, the low that was put in there previous week, I think that's where the low is. I'm not exactly positive. I got so much on here. To the high, that's basically our trading range, right? So we're just sort of banging around in this trading range. Considering I am thinking about Bitcoin having pre-halvening top probably middle of April, am I thinking about the market moving higher here into halvening? Absolutely. Absolutely. My hunch is that we top about a month ahead of time, but we'll see. Only time will tell. But if we were going to fail here, right, there's the low all the way down there, and you can see how smartly we've rallied back here. So at present, bull-bear battle lines, I will be bullish, and I'll basically take off my short hedges. I think I'm just going to let that trade be. And really, if the market can't accept above here, then I think we're in a bull, and I'll take off my hedge. I'm totally fine with that. If we crap out through these lows, then the bear's taking over, and like I said, the moving averages are probably cross. It'll be interesting to see how they act here over the next couple of weeks. This will be really interesting to watch. If we drill down to the dailies, it reminds me a lot of what we saw back here. Remember, we kept saying, when are we going to hit Mountain Man level? When are we going to hit Mountain Man level? And we finally hit it, like in some great calamitous move here. I seem to remember that about 3 or 4 months ago. We kept talking about, when's Mountain Man going to get hit? So I kind of get the feeling that's the same sort of thing here. Maybe the Halvening event rally is that event where we hit finally Mountain Man, but I don't think Mountain Man cannot not be hit, right? Yeah, he's going to want to be satisfied here. If we look at the daily trends, again, sort of that thinking about that potential weekly range fractal fail, bottom of the range, top end of the range. Moving averages are still relatively bullish, and on the public videos and stuff, I had been basically saying for the past little while I was feeling like we were in a moving average sandwich, and it looks to me like they're trying to resolve the moving average sandwich to the upside, which is good. And as you can see, right, when this market can accept back above 13 EMA and stay above that 13 EMA, it's a pretty happy market. As soon as it starts slipping and losing that, that's where we get our trend direction sort of uh-oh. But if we can slip back above and the moving averages are still positive, so that's healthy and that's encouraging, maybe we're back on the bull here. I don't see any sort of anecdotal information from sort of trend following systems that this thing has actually broken just yet, which is good. I think as we sort of talked about, notice, look at RSI. Can you guys see how applicable this is? There's the 50 line. Did we get our M through the 50 line? Nope. And isn't this cool? Look how the market came down to the 50 line and said, nah, I don't think so. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. To me, that seems cool. I think you can also make the argument 1M sort of stops the bull, and you can see stop the bull. But, no breakdown through 50 lines. So these second yellow M's and then third ones, they're sort of telling you, well, market is correcting, but it's probably going to be pretty tepid. And same sort of thing here. As long as we hold this 50 line, remember when we went up through this 50 line, that's when price went nuts there, right? So same thing as I said with Litecoin. I mean, this doesn't fill me with a lot of encouragement, don't get me wrong, but if anything, what I'm kind of thinking is, boom, if that happens, well, there's your dump, and that'll be your big dump. And that's probably, speaking of hedges, that's this trade. Nothing's really changed with this trade. But if we do get that RSI failure through the 50 line, kind of what I just showed you, that's probably where this trade zips down back below, down to 50% of this entire range. And we have to actually start asking whether, we have to go back and explore the bottom again. So keep your fingers crossed, bulls. We haven't quite turned back bull yet. I'm still thinking this is a lot of just sort of this one event was sort of like a flash crash. Was it, engineered to liberate people's capital from them on these leveraged margin trading exchanges? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if we find out after the fact that it was. I do believe that around that auction event, one should have been looking for some sort of signs of kind of exhaustion. It is interesting how we did have like little chaos levels. Market came up. That was a shorting location, and boom, she dumped. And the interesting thing is, if you look at this from sort of like a higher time frame perspective on something like BitMEX, I think that we've sort of settled into a trading range. Again, there's the top end of the range. I've shown you this a few times off that stamp chart. There's the bottom end of the range down there. And, if I was approaching this from a trade perspective, hindsight 2020, maybe I should. I don't know. I'm more than happy just risking against this M top here. I really like this level. I kind of don't want to get euchred out of this short because I really like this level. And if anything, I'm actually thinking we get rallies back up into reload zones and start showing some sort of M's. I might even just add to this trade, believe it or not. But I definitely can understand like the trader's trade. That was probably your event to take profits into that 50% rule. And also notice too that it was a pretty nice trend line tag there. Hindsight's 2020. I as I said, I'm more than happy just to sort of sit in this, and I kind of like this as a level. I do remember last week, sort of putting out tweets and sort of those public videos. Basically saying that the best place to see it is here. As long as we were making lower highs and lower lows, then the bear's dictating. We put in this inside bar. I think that was on Thursday. Sort of said, okay, well, it looks like the sellers are kind of exhausted here. Following day, we confirmed the inside bar, and I seem to recall that I kind of went on the public and said, I think we're relatively okay. Look for some backfilling. I think if anything, you can say look left here, and notice this is just one candle. So we could very easily explore this whole range here. And of course, Brian, he loves candle body levels for trade location. What do you think the odds are that that's going to set up as a reload zone? So I don't really see this rally that we just went through as too surprising. And again, the question ultimately is there going to be any sort of follow through following this? This might have been A, B, C, D, and that's it. I can't really get too bullish until we start doing things like closing above trend lines and start doubling out. We have one low here, which, Brian and his bot. One low isn't enough for me to get bullish. I'm still very comfortable being short from this level. And like I said, I might even add to the trade if I feel like it. If we drill down to sort of a lower time frame, this was super cool. This is crazy cool. All the little check marks are when my little chaos levels are traded to, and it's kind of sick. Actually, I haven't done them all here, but I could have done one there. But I just was so on the way down here was like check, check. We never did dump into this level until over here. Now, I don't know whether that's still valid. I don't think it is, but nonetheless. Then we start working our way up. I suppose we're going to go check, check. Then we start working our way back down. Didn't really get any levels to work with because that was a V-top. And then interestingly enough, that V-top in itself, wicks and tails like to be eaten. What do you think? Do you think there's some trap bulls up there that would love to get released? And the interesting thing about this is, there are also like, whales and even some of the institutional players themselves. People at OKCoin and at MEX, I would imagine they would prefer to get because remember, this was sort of like a flash event. And again, look left, if we can accept back above this candle here, really the market is not going to find resistance until we get right back up top here. So wicks and tails like to be eaten. It's a V-top, so, could we expect a rally back up into this level? It's not unrealistic. Reload short zone off of this range, 78.6, 61.8. And then, and this is what I meant by so crazy. Basically, we were following, and I did a whole bunch of off of these. They all painted upside objectives, kind of like this here. You could do all of these, but with this movement down here, that basically blew all of them away. So then you do some more projections off of here. This tail here blows all that away. So the most recent consolidation price action had me drawing a couple studies off of this consolidation, which painted this as an objective and this as an objective. Sort of where does chaos come in? And we also noted Mountain Man level there. And what's interesting too, if you look at this on a volume profile perspective, I think that's basically a top of value as well. So lots of anecdotal evidence supporting a push up into these levels. And actually on the, this chart right here, this was so cool. Because Sjord, who is our CTO at TRI, and I think just an absolutely stand-up guy, he was telling us a little bit about his work with RSI and Bollinger Bands. And now he's really best served to wait for the bands to contract. And then when you get a structural signal with the bands nice and tight here, this is a huge buy signal. And what I noticed last night, which was so cool, was I remember last week I'd been sort of suggesting that, I had these chaos levels up top. There's Mountain Man. I think we had said this was a volume profile value high level as well in a tweet and stuff. I'd sort of said I could expect the market to work its way up into here, but we're probably going to find some resistance. We got these AB equals CD objectives. We've got chaos levels, and we got Mountain Man staring us in the face. And sure enough, that's exactly what she did. But so this is kind of cool, right? Because we got the bigger setup operating right now, and this is sort of like our hedge, right? We wanted to get short off the top. As I had said earlier, I actually really don't mind the idea if we get up into these kind of chaos levels and start emming out against these highs. I might even just go add to the trade, but you can see I'm still technically above water here. And I do like the idea that rallying back up into this reload zone, this is actually where we're going to see whether this thing's actually really a bull or not. And remember, we looked at the weekly chart. We're going to have to see acceptance there to make sure that the weekly moving averages are happy. Remember, we looked at the daily chart. Considering this was a V bottom, V low, I'm not overly excited about the idea that this is the bottom. I think what probably has to end up happening is, at best, maybe we work our way against this trend line and, maybe bought out something along those kind of lines down the road. And as I said, I actually don't mind the idea of actually thinking about hunting a new short here, because keep in mind, this is going to be a straight line up off of these lows. At some point, we're going to have to pull back here and test these lows in earnest. But that's the bigger picture story. The smaller picture story, which I thought was cool, and I kind of showed you with that RSI example, is, it really all depends on what your trading plan is and whether you actually trade lower time frames. But I thought this was such a great application. This is almost like a cup and handle. And keep in mind, this is the casino, so your exchange might look different. But think of down, up, and then this cool consolidation in here and breakout. And like I said, if you just simply had a buy on stop, something like that, and you can see the little structure here, the buy on stop was there, it produced a very fast, very quick momentum trade. And I think, actually I've been practicing this. I've been practicing it in the gold markets, producing some really, really nice looking trades. So I might be working on this as a new day trading setup for the site. Here's another example of this conversation for over on MEX. You can see reload zones. You can see chaos levels. Really cool how the market came into those chaos levels. And really such a good analogy. Don't be a buyer up here. If anything, you want to be getting out and taking profits. If you think about AB equals CDs up into this level. Right now, interestingly enough, I've painted these channels. And I love when reload zones overlap. Remember I said I wouldn't be surprised to see the market come right back up into these levels. And I've noticed we got a cute little consolidation going on here. And this consolidation's lasted about 4 or 5 hours. So my hunch is if they can resolve this consolidation to the upside and get through this midpoint channel, then I think we rally up and test the top of this channel here, which just so happens to be that downtrend line, which just so happens to be resistance off of this line. And like I said, right into that overlapping RLZ zone. Look left, there's 78.6 off of that range. So actually, and gee whiz, what a coincidence, this consolidation, your chaos level there comes in at 10,121 over there on MEX. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, it's not really a new trade. I mean, if I was trading on momentum, lower time frame kind of thing, I'm heading off to spend the afternoon with my son. So, I mean, I'm not day trading crypto. But it's fun to do these studies and just sort of lay out the levels for people. You can see how well that worked through this consolidation, painting these targets. So also too, when you enter chaos, what does chaos look like? Chaos looks like this. That's chaotic. If we can resolve the chaos and start moving our way back up again off a W price action, well, that'll take us up into the next chaos level. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Hope that helps, guys. I've been blabbing away for about an hour or so. Did anybody get any value out of this? Maybe yes, maybe no. All right. Well, hope you did. I've got to go potty. So when I have to pee, I usually don't really like talking too much. So sounds like a good place for me to end the video. Have yourselves a great day. Hope some of the information I've imparted helps. All the best, and bye for now.